The offer arrived quietly, like fog slipping across a field before dawn. No shouting, no celebration, just a number so large it made Eli's hands shake when he read it. A fortune, global recognition, a future his father never had the chance to dream of. All it required was one thing. Storm would leave. Permanently. That evening, Eli walked the land alone. The old fence line groaned in the wind. Dry grass whispered under his boots. This soil still carried his father's footprints, worn deep by years of stubborn hope. Eli stopped at the far pasture where Storm once could barely stand. He remembered her ribs, her shallow breaths, the storm that nearly took her. He remembered choosing her when no one else would. The money couldn't erase that memory, but it could bury it. Morning broke pale and cold. The transport truck waited near the drive, engine humming like a threat. Men spoke softly, careful, respectful. Storm stepped forward once, then stopped. Her ears flicked back. She breathed in, and then she turned away. Without panic, without fear. She walked back toward the old barn, hooves steady, unhurried. Dust lifted behind her like a memory refusing to settle. Inside the barn, light cut through the slats, laying gold across the floor. Storm stopped in the center, lowered her head, and waited. Eli stood frozen. No words were spoken. None were needed. The land was quiet, holding its breath. In that stillness, Eli felt the answer settle into his bones. Later that day, under open sky and curious eyes, Eli declined the offer. A murmur rippled outward. Shock, disbelief, judgment. He spoke only once. Calm, certain. Storm was not for sale. What followed wasn't fame, but purpose. Eli opened the ranch to broken horses and patient hands. A sanctuary. A school built on gentleness, trust, and time. People came to learn. Some came to heal. Years passed. One afternoon, children lined the fence, sunlight in their hair, laughter soft in the air. Storm moved freely across the field. Strong and calm, her coat catching the light. Eli watched from the barn doorway, peace resting easy on his shoulders. Some things don't belong to the world. They belong where they were believed in first. The stadium breathed as one living thing. Wind skimmed across the sand, carrying the sharp scent of leather, dust, and nerves. Eli stood at the rail in his worn hat, heart pounding so loudly he was sure Storm could hear it. This place was never meant for a man like him, or a horse like her. Yet here they were. Storm stepped onto the course with a calm that felt almost unnatural. Lights gleamed off her dark coat. Crowds blurred into a wall of sound. But she moved as if the world had narrowed to breath and intention alone. Eli remembered the filly who once shook in the straw, ribs rising like fragile wings. He swallowed. Some miracles never stop feeling impossible. The course began smoothly. Hooves struck rhythm into the ground. Then it happened. Another horse ahead spooked hard. A sharp scream of metal. A stumble. Panic ripped through the line like fire through dry grass. Riders shouted. The crowd gasped. Disaster leaned forward, ready to fall. Storm felt it before anyone else did. She slowed, then surged, not forward, but sideways, placing herself between chaos and collapse. Her body shifted, angled, steady. She nudged the panicked horse, grounding it, breathing calm into terror. It lasted only seconds. But in those seconds, everything changed. Silence crashed down over the stadium. Then sound returned all at once. Applause. Shouts. People on their feet, hands over mouths, eyes wet with something deeper than excitement. Officials stared at their clipboards like they no longer understood the rules written there. Storm finished the course without error. She always did. But that wasn't what people remembered. In the days that followed, meetings were called, rules rewritten, training standards reshaped around patience, awareness, partnership. Eli was invited to speak, not as a champion, not as a master, but as a caretaker. He stood at a podium and said very little. Only this: I listened. She taught me the rest. Years later, a statue was unveiled at the event grounds. Bronze muscles, head lifted, a legend frozen in time. That evening, Eli stood in his barn at home. Storm pressed her forehead gently to his chest, warm and real. He smiled through tears and whispered, "She was never trained to lead. She was born to. The world does not end with thunder. Sometimes it ends with quiet, with dust settling, with a gate swinging closed and never being reopened." When Storm retired, there were no cameras, no speeches, Just a soft morning breeze and a horse stepping into a field she would finally call home. The crowds drifted away like weather. The phone stopped ringing. Reporters found newer miracles. Eli didn't chase them. He rose with the sun, fed the horses, fixed what was broken, and listened to the land breathe again. Storm followed him everywhere, her stride easy now, her eyes calm. The fire in her hadn't gone out. It had found peace. One afternoon, while clearing the old tack room, Eli's hand brushed against something cold and familiar beneath a loose board. He knelt and pulled it free. A single worn coin, $1.50, taped together with age-darkened string. The exact money he had paid when belief cost him everything. His chest tightened. He didn't sit. He didn't speak. He just stood there, letting the moment find him. At sunset, Eli hammered a nail above the barn door and placed the coin there, catching the last light of day. It wasn't decoration. It was a reminder of who he was when no one was watching. Weeks later, a truck rolled in slow. No crowd followed. Inside was a weak foal, knees trembling, breath shallow, eyes searching for something it hadn't found yet. Eli lifted it gently, the way his father once lifted him. Storm stood nearby, watching, ears forward, quiet and steady. People from town gathered at the fence. No laughter this time. No jokes. Just silence and waiting. The foal struggled, slipped, then pushed again. Storm stepped closer, lowering her head. The foal found balance against her shoulder and stood. Eli exhaled a breath he'd been holding for years. The world calls it luck. Eli calls it choosing.